Yeah.
So he tours these places with the band, does the first set acoustic, and then the second set with the electric band. And people hate it.
Welcome to the Day Chaser podcast. I'm Charles.
And I'm Alex.
And today we are talking about Bob Dylan.
And that's something I do every day, pretty much. I just try not to inflict it on other people. So, you might ask yourself, viewer, why did they go from anime and Kill Bill to Bob Dylan? Well, sometimes my hyperfixation just needs to be slaked like a thirst. And it's happening. It's happening. We're going to talk about Bob Dylan because Bob Dylan is, if you imagine that my brain is some kind of sci-fi-esque, like, reactor generator that runs on like crystals, the main biggest crystal that powers the whole thing is Bob Dylan. He is my core hyperfixation. And you wanted to talk about him, and I'm like, oh good, I can just let out the thoughts I have about him anyway to another person, and it's okay this time. I had to train myself to not do this on dates.
Yeah, so for me, for those of you who don't know, me and Alex, we haven't known each other for a super long time. It's only been a couple of years. And our friendship is very strong, but it's also kind of young. And me personally, I'm just the kind of person that really enjoys fandoms, even if I don't necessarily belong to them. I didn't grow up with Bob Dylan like Alex did, but Alex talks about Bob Dylan a lot. And I honestly just love hearing him go off about the kind of person Bob Dylan is, and folk music and the folk politics and like the what was it, the 65 folk festival?
The Newport Folk Festival, yeah, and electric, and everybody's freaked out.
Right, and he showed me a couple of movies. We checked out that Timothée Chalamet movie recently where he played Bob Dylan, and that was a bittersweet experience for Alex.
Yeah, I mean, least favorite actor playing most favorite musician. I went into this going, it's anybody's ball game, and then I was like, God damn it, he nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Okay. I guess I've been wrong about this man. And then I showed you the much better Bob Dylan biopic that no one knows, to the point where I'm not sure if I just fever dreamt it sometimes. It's called I'm Not There, which has 6 different fictional characters playing him at different points in his life. And I showed this to you and your lovely wife because she's more of a Dylan fan. And so we all enjoyed it kind of on different levels. And I was like, Charles, I need you to know, I don't show this movie to people unless I feel incredibly safe. You should feel very honored by this because I assume most people will hate this if I showed it to them. I was like, okay, I think I'll get it. And then what you said to me was, it's like reading a poem from the inside. I was like, yes. Oh, good.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so fun about Alex's, like, I mean, I'm starting to appreciate Bob Dylan myself. I won't lie. Like, it's not like I'm just listening to him talk and I'm like just waiting for him to stop or like looking at him make faces or whatever. Like, I'm actually starting to appreciate Bob Dylan. Plus, I'm a Watchmen fan, and one of the scenes in Watchmen, especially in the early, like the opening credits of Watchmen, was a Bob Dylan song, and that's what made the whole experience of seeing a fandom through someone else's eyes so amazing, because he was like, yeah, you know Bob Dylan songs, you may not have grown up with him, but his songs are just so ubiquitous that you definitely know one of his songs. And then one of the songs started playing. I'm like, oh yeah, of course I know this song. And it was like 2-3 others back to back, and I'm like, yeah, it's like you realize that you secretly have been a fan of a fandom you haven't directly engaged in, and for like the value of that for me is the community, because you get to see. It's like you're seeing into other people's souls when you see how much they like something that is new to you, and it's amazing. It's such an amazing thing.
Yeah, you're seeing when you find out someone's favorite thing, even if it is not your favorite thing, but you understand why it's their favorite thing. You are literally seeing kind of the matrix code of how their soul works, and it can be really beautiful. I think. One more thing about Watchmen. So yes, the Times Era, first of all, if you think you don't know any Bob Dylan songs, you do. They've just been woven so deeply into the fluoride of the water of pop culture. You've heard Times Era Changin'. If you've ever heard the words, how many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? That's from Blowin' in the Wind. They're everywhere. They've been covered a trillion times and stuff. So in Watchmen, in the actual book, you know how every chapter ends with a little quote from, oftentimes from a song.
Yes.
The first chapter ends with a verse from Desolation Row. At midnight, all the agents and the superhuman crew come out and round up everyone who knows more than they do.
Right.
And in the movie, the closing credits, My Chemical Romance did a cover of Desolation Row, and it's quite good. It's like a pop punk version, and it's really, really fun. It's shorter because that song is 11 minutes long, but it kind of shreds.
I would love to put that as a clip inside of the video, but this is going to YouTube, and they really don't like it when you take permissions off of other people's songs, and they don't like that. So I guess I'll put the lyrics on screen or something, or maybe like the page from that comic book. Y'all gonna have to look up the songs yourself. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Yeah. Or maybe I should just sing it right now. Don't make me. Don't make me.
I wasn't gonna make you, but I'm not gonna stop it either. I'm gonna politely stand to the side and just let the next 5 seconds happen. Let's see. Here we go. Wait a minute. Here we go. And I step to the side.
Put up the video of Gerard Way doing it, and then just have me go, at midnight, all the agents and the superhuman crew go out and round up everyone that knows more than they do. I'm singing bad on purpose because it's not my actual singing voice. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's good. Also, by the way, if you're gonna put in the comments, oh, you know he can't sing. Oh, we've never heard that before. Oh, every Dylan fan hasn't heard that a million fucking times before. You know he can't sing. You know it's better when other people do it. So shut up. I like it. You don't have to like it. I like it.
Oh my God. Okay, let's reach the first point, because we like to have these pre-conversations before each episode and like come up with a couple of cool points. I mean, if you've been watching this longer, you don't realize we do that. I don't know what's going on. If this is your first episode, then welcome. I'm happy to have you. But if you like 5 episodes deep, then welcome back. You know what the deal is. Okay, so
we're tapping directly into, like I said, the hyperfixation crystal at the center of my soul.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, so why do we enjoy being fans in general?
So the positive side of fandom is the, oh wow, someone else also likes my favorite thing. And it becomes, like I said, seeing kind of the language of somebody's heart. And it can really build friendships. It can be like you and I bonded because we were in the same Jeet Kune Do class, and then we both loved Cowboy Bebop, and we both, very importantly, hated the live action Bebop for the same reasons. Yes. So we became friendly pretty fast. Now, there's also the kind of thing of being in a fandom where, like I said, this is still in the good things, but it will tip over into the bad of you want to be seen. You don't want to feel crazy for, like I said, I love I'm Not There. There is a part of me that feels almost ashamed that I love this thing that made zero money, because I'm like, well, who can I tell about this thing? Well, I guess I'll just watch it a million times while I eat my mac and cheese while I'm sad, I guess. But to find out there are other people that like your favorite thing is a good feeling, to be seen. Now, the problem with that is there's a fine line between a nice fan and a toxic stan. Ooh. And that's when you get people who like you, they maybe even don't even realize it, but they've got such a parasocial relationship with your music that they then stop caring about the boundaries between you and it. Like Chappell Roan had to be like, hey, don't stan me. And what she really means is stop stalking me. Right. Because people get what you realize if you do anything in the public eye for long enough is when you start your journey, like I'm gonna have fans and they're gonna care about me, and then you realize, oh, many of these people are just shitty customers, and I have to basically not piss them off, otherwise no one will buy my thing. And they talk to you like you owe them something, right? And it's like a mass Karen energy. And I think Dylan fandom is interesting because everyone's heard of Bob Dylan, but many, I have met very few casual Dylan fans in my life. And I'm not to say that like, oh, it's so smart, you got to be so into it, or is it? It just attracts a type of person that is like, once you're aware of this person, then you decide to become it. It takes over your brain in a lot of ways. And some people, I like to think like myself, do it in a charming way where I'm like, oh, do you want me to talk to you about Bob Dylan for 4 hours? LOL. I actually could. But and then some people are like, he had a fan So Bob Dylan has been stalked a whole lot, and we'll get to that as we dig into parasociality.
Yes.
There was a guy in the 70s. Bob Dylan moved from, after he kind of had this motorcycle accident that may or may not have been severe. No one's really sure if he faked it or played up how bad it was, but he used it as a reason to become a recluse for a while. And he moves to Woodstock, New York, and he starts making country music with the band that was his backing band on tour. They kind of just set up in this rented house and just recorded music all the time, and it's really, really good. People would start to come to the house and just knock on his door and be like, "You need to guide us." And he's like, "Easy, freak. I'm a person with a growing number of children. You're making me feel unsafe." And he moved to Greenwich Village to try to make that better, but it made it worse. I don't know why he thought moving to a less remote place would make that work. And so there was this guy named A.J. Weberman who is like the Dylan stalker, who would stand outside of Dylan's house every day, and he decided that Bob Dylan was a heroin addict for some reason, and he's like decoding all the lyrics like, "This says that you're a heroin addict and we need to get you clean so you can lead the movement." And this guy stalked Bob Dylan so much that Bob Dylan beat the shit out of him on the street. And I found this man on Facebook.
Let me get this straight. You found him on Facebook?
Yes, I did. Which means I went looking for him on Facebook. I'm not
exactly like, right. You're like,
I don't know why I intended on doing that, but I know this man's crazy. They made a little documentary about him, and I've seen the inside of his house, and like the fridge has flies and stuff. Like, he's a lunatic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
you know how crazy you got to be for Bob Dylan to beat the shit out of you? Crazy.
I assume you got to be pretty crazy. I mean, a guy like Bob Dylan, who, I mean, they named a movie after them and called "I'm Not There," and they had to get 6 different actors just to be all of him.
Yeah. Do you think the ass whooping felt like 6 different dudes?
Oh, that would have been epic. Oh my God. Getting beat up by Bob Dylan feels like getting jumped by 6 different people.
Yeah, and like Bob Dylan is an amateur boxer.
Yeah.
So he knows how to like use footwork and stuff. Like it must have not been fun. I don't think Bob Dylan is tiny. I've seen him up close. He's shorter than me, but I bet this man can use mechanics.
Possibly. Okay, you know, and this is the part of the fandoms that I really like. Like when it comes to fandoms, especially if you're like being introduced to one slowly, or in some cases it's indoctrinated into them. You know, kind of like being indoctrinated. What's a toxic fandom? Like the Swifties? Oh my God.
The Swifties is what I always think of.
I recorded myself saying that. There's gonna be a bunch of little girls breaking into the windows like zombies.
Scratch.
Like World War Z. Like imagine a bunch of Swiftie fans, but they're crawling all over each other like World War Z.
Oh my God. I mean, wasn't that trying to get tickets for the Eras tour, essentially?
Basically, yeah. But anyway, so like, okay, so one of the things that I learned through Alex's fandom with Bob Dylan is that not only is he a trained boxer, he trained with Quentin Tarantino a couple of times.
Yeah, so Bob Dylan ended up living in Malibu in this big weird compound, and he just goes to like Gold's Gym or whatever. I mean, I forget what gym it is, but one of those LA gyms where like, you know, the celebrities go. Yeah. Which is why sometimes like I would listen to his satellite show, Theme Time Radio Hour, and it was him just playing music that he liked, but also be like, "I ran into John C. Reilly on the Stairmaster and I asked him what his favorite fruits are." And then it would cut to the audio of John C. Reilly doing it. So I was like, oh, Bob Dylan just saw this man and said, "Tell me about papayas." Click, and then he did it. That's the power you have as Bob Dylan. But yeah. So I don't think they're close, but they knew each other and they sparred a couple times, and to be a fly on that wall. And I know that they're at least friendly enough that Quentin sent Dylan the script for Death Proof before he shot it. He goes, I thought he would enjoy like some of the wordplay or whatever. I don't know if he acknowledged it, but somewhere in Bob Dylan's email inbox is the script of Death Proof. I know that for a fact. And I just want to see how those sparring matches went, because I think Dylan is tiny, Quentin is enormous. I've seen both of them up close, but I bet you Quentin throws haymakers and Bob throws tighter shots. So it's really who can get inside first. He's got the reach, but I bet if Bob Dylan crashes on you, it probably hurts worse than you'd think.
Plus he's small, so them weaves, them things are tight. Like he could probably get around Quentin's like pretty easily.
Yeah, and plus Quentin is bigger, which means he's going to be just slightly slower.
Right.
But Bob Dylan has been chain smoking since he was 2 years old. So how does that affect cardio? I don't know. But Quentin seems to be out of shape because he's just watching movies all the time. Bob Dylan seems to be more active than you'd think. I think mainly it's the boxing thing, but like he's sort of Bob Dylan is much more of a touch grass guy than you would think, given everything else about him. In an interview a couple years ago, they said, do you binge watch the stuff on Netflix? And he said, I believe the quote was, I don't watch anything dog ass. I'm a religious person.
Wait a minute. Wait. You can't just quote Bob Dylan and not do the voice. You got to do the voice.
Okay. And now the trick, here's the thing, listeners. The trick, everyone does the Bob Dylan. You go, ooh, and you just make noises. My particular favorite flavor of Bob Dylan impression that always makes Charles laugh is I do the weird voice and then I say something just sane enough to be the craziest thing you ever heard, and then I reference Jesus Christ. That's sort of the formula that I feel is the Dylan fans' Dylan impression. But he said, they go, hey Bob, do you binge that on Netflix? He goes, well, that's a lot of time in front of the tube for me. I don't watch any of this dog ass programming. I'm a religious man. I box and I light candles in church, and you don't need an app for any of that stuff. That's what he said. I could have made a joke and made a funny thing for him to say, but those were basically what he said. He's like, yeah, I touch grass. That's pretty much what he said.
That man is in another world all on his own with his guitar, his machine that kills fascists.
Yes. Maybe I'm not there refers to I'm not in your physical plane. Maybe this was the first. I like to think that I'm not there is the first multiverse film.
Oh my God! So you're
Are
wait
they
a minute.
in the same universes? I don't know. Two of them cross over, but only two of them.
So Bob Dylan invented the cinematic universe. Is there a cinematic Bob Dylan universe?
It's Bob Dylan in the multiverse of madness, basically.
Oh my God, he's like Doctor Strange for folk music.
Basically.
Oh my goodness.
He's weird and reclusive. I'm sure he owns lots of talismans. He has a weird beard from time to time. I'm pretty sure this is adding up.
Oh my God. Okay. So the next question: when does your talent become a curse, as it relates to Bob Dylan and possibly fandoms in general? Yeah,
like it's an interesting thing to think of. When does your fandom become a curse? Because back before social media and before TMZ culture, fandom could still become a curse.
Sure.
Because Bob Dylan, like in a complete unknown. So one of the things that's cool about that film is the Bob Dylan, he didn't write it with James Mangold, but he talked to James Mangold extensively. So that movie is very much Bob's version of events.
Yes.
And one of the things that they did was he had a pen pal relationship with Johnny Cash. They were friends. They did some recordings together, and there's some cute videos of them. But these letters were just personal.
Right.
And James said, can I have them? And they sent him over scanned copies. And so you hear Timothy reading Bob's part, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he's really good. That actor plays Johnny Cash reading Johnny's part, and it's their words. And the Dylan part goes, I'm now famous by the rules of public famiosity. It snuck up and pulverized me, Johnny. To quote Dr. Freud, I get very paranoid. Were the exact words. So I wonder, what would Bob Dylan's career look like in the T Swift era of fame? Like, would there be #NotMyDylan when he goes electric? Because people freaked out on that patch of grass. What if that was trending on X or whatever? Bob Dylan just discovered Twitter. But
he's still making music. He's still dropping hits too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still making music, and it is often bizarre, but it is good. And also, he just discovered Twitter, and it's just the most normal grandpa-ass tweets. It's just, I found out Bob Newhart died. That stinks. Or like, I went to a nice restaurant. You should go to that restaurant. It's almost like Bob Dylan has ended his career of confounding people by just giving them the most easily understandable thoughts. And it's like, well, yeah, that's where all this was going.
Wow.
What movies would you recommend? I would say the work of Lon Chaney's pretty good. It's just normal ass tweet. We should show a couple of them because they're kind of adorable, if I'm honest. It's just tweets about things he's excited about. So
it's very grandpa of him.
It's so grandpa, and he's also got a lot of grandchildren, so that is applicable. But you were saying I went off on 3 different tangents.
No, it's okay. It's okay because you mentioned the So we've kind of been skirting around it a little bit. What happened at the folk music festival in terms of talent becoming a curse is fascinating.
So Dylan's whole thing, that this was early in his career. Like, if you picture Bob Dylan in your pop culture mind, the image we have of him, he was 24 years old. And if I wouldn't enjoy if everyone's memory forever of me was 24-year-old me. I don't know if I would want to hang out with him. He meant well, but he could be irritating. And so Dylan, he starts his career by just trying to be a Woody Guthrie clone. His first album is all covers, and then the second album he starts writing his own stuff, and a lot of it is starting to become political. And it gets big. That album is a huge hit, the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. And then he does another. But
really quick, just for context, the folk music scene was it was a politically based musical movement, which is part of the reason there was a market for his political slant to exist in the first place.
Yeah, it was in some ways. The 60s, or rather just the past, was more progressive than the America now, because the folk movement, and a lot of this gets kind of whitewashed out of the narrative, they were socialists.
Right.
They were often communists. They got shit from jobs and from their families. And it was like Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie, they were vocal communists. They were anti-fascists. They were really, really, really lefty, like out and proud on Front Street. So the folk music is lefty music. And because it's lefty stuff, it has a purity streak. Like, is this for the cause? Is this traditional music that is being updated? And so Dylan came along, and people were writing original songs, but it's a lot of traditionals that have been tweaked. Like, I don't know a whole lot of Pete Seeger written songs, but a lot of the songs that he played were like spirituals and work songs and stuff that he put his spin on, and they, it keeps them going in the zeitgeist for this new labor and racial, equality movement and stuff. And so Dylan comes along, and he just starts writing those types of songs, but they speak more to modern issues. Like, he was essentially, for a stretch, writing like Black Lives Matter songs. Right. He's writing The Ballad of Emmett Till. He's writing North Country Blues. He's writing The Loathsome Death of Hattie Carroll, was a black woman who was killed by a rich white boy who like Karen'd out at her and like hit her with his cane. She fell over and had a heart attack, and his sentence was really like, he would have, if he lived in 2020 and was starting, he would have written The Ballad of George Floyd. That song would have existed.
Yeah.
And so he is seen as the political guy. If you look at his actual output, that sort of was a thing he did, but it wasn't his entire jam. But clearly it was something he felt strongly about. But he also is much more of a vibes than a political theory guy. Right. So you can kind of see that it's, obviously he's going to care about racial justice, but he's not going to really know what he's talking about past a certain point.
Sure.
So at a certain point, he, as everyone's like, you're the political guy, you're voice of a generation. And he goes, well, this isn't all I do. And what James Mangold said, and what he tried to get across in A Complete Unknown, was Bob Dylan started to feel really musically lonely, in that he's like, well, every show is just me playing with my guitar. I like Buddy Holly and Little Richard, and like that was also what I would do. I want to play with a band. And so he shows up with a band at the New Park Folk Festival. He had played acoustic earlier that day, and it was fine. And then at night, he plays electric, and everyone flips shit, because what it looked like to them was capitalism, baby! And that's not really what he meant. He just meant electric guitar is cool, but it was taken as this huge, like, right-wing insult. And to this day, he's like, I don't know why they were really that mad. Like, if you listen to the songs, it's still the same kind of like spirits. It's still the same songwriter. Now, what I will say is it did have a little, I don't know if people picked up on this, but Maggie's Farm has what I think is a pretty unfair jab at them. that I think is just him being a shithead. So the reason why it's called Maggie's Farm, and the song is it's about being worked unfairly. Like, I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more because she doesn't treat me right, and I want to be me, but they want you to be somebody else. It's a valid artistic statement. But the code in there is there's some footage of him playing. I can't remember what group it was, but it was like a Students for Racial Justice kind of a thing, working party event where he was playing, Lonesome Death Ahead Carol and like the political wearing a work shirt Dylan. And he said that he felt boxed in by these movements and like used by them, which I think sounds a little like, well, yeah, they want you to talk for the thing, or you just being a big prima donna baby. So the place where he shot that video was called McGee's Farm. So it's a play on. It's literally saying, "Hey, folkies, fuck you a little bit or a lot bit." And so he's a weird guy because on the one level he has some really valid artistic philosophies. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, you're just mad people want you to care about stuff, and that's shitty. You're not I forget if I said this before. Bob Dylan is not a good human being.
Right.
He's not a good person. He doesn't treat. If you're not his child, he just sort of treats you bad and dismissively. His children rave about him. It's a weird dichotomy, but
right.
Point being, so after that, he goes on this tour of Britain and Australia, and those places are known for having a even like more dogmatic folk music attitude, because there were a lot of really important working party kind of music comes, or that looks a certain way. Yeah. So he tours these places with the band, does the first set acoustic, and then the second set with the electric band, and people hate it. They freak the fuck out every night. There is booing. There is people trying to clap offbeat with him to throw him off. There are walkouts. People are buying tickets just to walk out. There is one show that ends with a fucking chaos fight breaking out, and they have to whisk him away because everyone's trashing the stage. It's bad. And I listen to this music and I'm like, this is the greatest music I've ever heard. It's almost more fascinating to me because to me it's so good, and it is extra good because it is done with abject hostility toward these people. Yeah. And I was like, oh, what a shame it was never fully recorded, just a couple albums. And then I found out recently they recorded all of them, and there's a 36 CD box set, and I'm like, oh, I've never wanted to drop money more. I'm buying. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm gonna treat myself one of these days to this, because it's my favorite period in music history. Is this tour?
See,
is Bob Dylan hostilely playing the greatest music I've ever heard to people who want to kill him for it.
And this right here, like the way that Alex talks about Bob Dylan is what's so fun about this guy for me, as like, cause I'm like not a full fan yet. I'm like a proxy fan. I'm like fanning in as a result of just enjoying the lore of what Bob Dylan is. Because I hear about the story that we just went over with the Folk Music Festival and how people were walking out and clapping on beat and all of that. And I find myself compelled to figure out why he even did that. And as I thought about it, I realized that Bob Dylan, he has many interests just like any other human being, but as an artist, he prioritizes meaning over everything.
Yeah.
And by meaning, it's like it's not the meaning of this means it's political. This means it's this. This means it's that. No, he believes that art needs to mean something. Art can't be empty. It can be empty platitudes or containers. And as a result, making art, like forcing art to mean one kind of thing is also bad, because it robs art of its freedom. And it's really the freedom that allows art to carry meaning. And Bob Dylan has like this purity of this very one-on-one relationship with art as a general concept that he expresses through his music. And it starts to come out in some of these other ways that I learned through Alex, because apparently Bob Dylan had the whole hip-hop era. Like, he wasn't making beats or nothing, but he liked hip-hop music for that exact reason.
Hip-hop, yeah. There's a story about him and George Harrison when they were in the Traveling Wilburys, where Bob was wearing his like a baseball hat backwards a bunch, bunch, and he was like, Bob, why are you doing that? I can't do the George Harrison voice. I can do the Dylan voice. And he goes, Bob, why are you wearing your hat backwards? And he goes, because that's what rappers do, and they're the only ones that are saying anything anymore. Bob Dylan's a hip hop head. He dropped a verse on a Curtis Blow song. It's terrible, but it exists. It's awful. I almost want to tell you not to listen to it, but do. It's ridiculous, but it's well-meaning. I love that he wanted to do it, but it is not good music. He never made any hip hop, but so I read his autobiography. There's a specific chunk in it where he's like, I've never understood why musicians of my generation are so judgy about hip hop. They're poets. Aren't we all supposed to be poets?
Yeah, he gets it. He gets it. He's like, yeah, Run DMC and fucking Joni Mitchell are essentially doing the same thing. They're just doing it differently. Or Public Enemy and Jack Kerouac or whatever. Like this, it's all different expressions of lyricism. Yeah, it's all melodic poetry. And if you understand, because I grew up with hip hop very heavily, but I'm a hip hop fan from the very technical sense. Like I really enjoyed the craft of rapping. It can't, like, you're not gonna hear me listening to Ice Spice. I'm sorry, it's not.
And I showed you some yesterday. We were both very sad about the state of culture.
We were legitimately sad. Like, what was the lyrics?
Because the song was called, the song I shit you not is called, and this is a song that sounds like you made it as a joke about cult. It's called "You Ain't the Shit" (parentheses fart). Yeah. That sounds like a 30 Rock joke. You're like, what's the new hip hop hit? It's called "You Think You Ain't Your Shit" (parentheses fart). Really? Yeah. It sounds made up, but it's real.
That's like something Eric Cartman would have made up just so he could exploit that genre the way that he tried to do with Christian music that one time.
Yes, and it's the parentheses fart that bothers me the most, because it's not "you the fart" or whatever. It's just parentheses fart. Why? What has TikTok done to people's brains?
Yeah, exactly. So like my fandom when it comes to hip hop, again, it's the more lyrical stuff. So one of my favorite rappers right now is JID, and JID is truly a very technical, lyrical artist where if you just sit down and just read, not even listen to necessarily, but read how he puts together the puzzling and the complexity of his lyrics, it's genuinely an amazing experience just from an academic standpoint, which is very old head of me. Like, I'm only 33 years old. I was born in 91. The last time I heard anybody talking about hip hop from an academic standpoint, people were still wearing full, like, bright red jumpsuits in the 80s. Like that's when they were doing that. But that's how I listen to music. But when you listen to folk music, a lot of the same kind of lyrical talent, because it's hard to speak like that. Like, if you play anything by JID right now and just listen to him for 5 seconds, you'll be like, okay, I can't talk that fast or have that much lyricism. Well, then listen to some folk music. They're doing a lot of the same things. Yeah. They have a lot of the same talent. Like, there's a weird amount of overlap when it comes to folk music and hip hop if you're just talking about the craft of doing it in general. It's really fascinating.
And they're both oftentimes speaking from places of downtrodden oppression. So it's like they've used the math to fight back to prove intelligence almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you know anything about the history of hip-hop, some of y'all do, some of y'all don't. Just a brief history. Hip-hop started because a bunch of gentrifiers built a freeway over a neighborhood in the Bronx.
Yes, it did.
That's how it started. And the response was, rather than becoming criminals and destroying ourselves out of the anger of not being able to touch the people that are actually destroying us, the youth culture was, we are going to express ourselves through our art because this is what's accessible, and we're going to make sure that they know that our lives matter, that we are here and our lives are just as meaningful as some of these rich people that literally built a bridge over the sky of our community, and they created hip-hop off of that. And it evolved over time into it, like, from youth culture and lots of experimentation. Originally, hip-hop wasn't just music. There was a time where hip-hop, there were like 5 elements of hip-hop. There was music, there was breakdancing, there was graffiti, there was the concept of which is the actual lyricist. Like, the MC and the beats were 2 separate things, where now they're kind of interchangeable. Like, there were these, because it was a political youth-based space movement where self-expression was the highest order of the day, and creating meaning from nothing when people were actively trying to rob it from you. That was the real reason why hip hop existed at all. Then people realized, oh, we can make money off of this, and then the natural corruptions of capitalism started to set in. But even then, a lot of the integrity still exists in hip hop, because you'll have your moments like your Ice Spices, and you'll have your moments like I really didn't like the early 2000s hip hop era where it was like the Southern hip hop where everybody was like blinged out and the diamonds on the neck and that sort of thing. Like that just wasn't for me. Like, again, it's all about self-expression. Like, you definitely got to have the right to do you. That just wasn't the me I was doing. But I checked back in where they kind of had like a little bit of a nerd phase where it was like, I'm socially awkward and I don't have a lot of skills, but I like hip hop and I'm gonna make an album. Like, I checked back in. I love
beats, but I also don't like crowds.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I want to make the crowd jump as long as I'm not in it.
Yes. Oh, so I love any artist that like Dylan or like some rappers where it's like, where does confidence and absolute anxiety live in this sort of yin and yang that constantly flow between each other?
Yeah. Yeah,
like, I love Andre 3000 because he's such a soft emo poetry boy that he put out a flute album, but also he's an outcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he is literally a musical legend. And like, have you seen there was like an interview where they were talking about him and his flute album and everything, and then they just had a shot of him doing laundry. It was one of the most, you need to see, I'm gonna tell you what, because it's one of the most, if you understand fame and how like music affects people's lives and all of that, it's one of the most interesting and beautiful moments I've ever seen. And it's just a black dude doing laundry, because you realize this man is so human. He refuses to allow his well-earned fame to destroy his humanity. And that's some Bob Dylan type stuff too. He was fully willing to sabotage his career early because it wasn't about the money or the fame. It was about the principle of making something that mattered. And he wasn't going to let anything, including politics he agreed with, get in the way of why art needs to be art. That's crazy to me. That's dope to me.
Yeah, it is. One of the things that's really cool about Dylan is every few years, he basically torches his own fan base and sees who sticks around. It doesn't happen as much anymore now that he's in his 80s, but like, so in the early 80s, after his divorce was nightmarish, that was totally his fault, by the way, but he found Jesus in a big way. He took evangelical Christian classes. He accepted Jesus Christ into his heart, and he started to make gospel music. And the weirdest part about all this, it's pretty good. The gospel albums are not bad albums, but anyway, so he started to tour them, and he would only play the gospel music, and he would give long sermons in between about the devil and all this stuff, and then he would play Slow Train Coming, and then he would go a long thing about greed, and then he would play But I'm Holding On to a Solid. He would claim that the Bible could predict the future. He said that he called a Russian invasion of Afghanistan based on a Bible passage. He's a weird guy. Anyway, people, surprise, surprise, didn't enjoy this. So they started to freak out and walk out. And someone was interviewing him, and they're like, well, why don't you play any of the old songs anymore? And he's like, well, I could get all this money for doing something that my heart isn't in, but why would I do that? I would go out and I would be miserable because I would be lying. I want to play gospel music. I'm going to. Now, I think part of this is wrapped up in part of Dylan's defiance of his fan base is also he's an egomaniac and a contrarian. So whenever something he does gets too popular, he kind of has to do the opposite. But I think the point is actually kind of noble. It's like, well, I want to talk about Jesus. You don't have to buy a ticket. I don't technically as long as I played music, I don't technically owe you not talking about Jesus. It'll be weird, don't get me wrong, but Nightmare Blunt Rotation is Disco Dylan, Christian Dylan, and Divorce Dylan. The weird thing is, two of those Dylans still making solid albums. None of them are pleasant people, I'm sure, but
well, I mean, speaking, circling slightly back on the hip hop thing, he is, to quote you, one of the most divorced mans in the world with his diss tracks.
Yes.
To women.
Yes. You think it's Elon Musk? It's Bob Dylan in 1975, the most divorced man who's ever existed.
Because Dylan, like we're kind of gushing over Bob Dylan for a little bit, which kind of leads into the next thing about parasociality.
Yeah,
it's difficult to be a fan of somebody that's not really that great of a person.
Yeah,
and Bob Dylan isn't a great guy, especially when it comes to women. He's very misogynist.
Yeah, I don't feel good about any of his opinions on women or how he has treated his wives and girlfriends and polycules that didn't know about each other. Ooh. But yeah, he's got a traditional attitude toward women, and it's not great, because you can hear when he starts putting out Blown on the Tracks, it's like, okay, how much of it is Sarah Dillon sucked and how much of it is just you didn't get what you wanted? So
yeah, and like for that reason, if you decide to listen to Bob Dylan as a result of this, we need you to also listen to Joan Baez.
Yes.
To cleanse your soul of this man's misogynist sins, because that woman, yes. First of all, her diss tracks against, they were amazing. Like, okay, again, speaking from the hip hop world, y'all know what a diss track is. A diss track, people who didn't even like hip hop watched with their mouth open Kendrick Lamar dismantle Drake's career. I mean, just obliterate. It's gotten so bad that Drake's entire marketing campaign as of late is based on basically being filleted by Kendrick Lamar.
He called him a pedophile at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At the Super Bowl.
At the Bowl.
The footballs. And he's like, hey, by the way, Drake's a pedophile. And everyone was like, yeah, he is.
Yeah. And then everybody's singing about it, like A minor. It's like, yeah.
It's so good.
It's such a good song.
So just one thing I love about that, and this kind of ties back into stan culture too.
Yes.
So whenever you put out a song nowadays, everyone picks it apart to shit, and it's all over Reddit, and everyone's bad faith about it. So nothing cannot be hyper scrutinized, right?
Right.
So Anthony Fantano, who is a really great music reviewer YouTuber,
yes,
said part of the genius, I don't know if it was intended, but one of the consequences of the probably strike a chord, and it's one to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor, that joke.
Yes.
Whenever Drake now in a song uses the note or chord structure of A minor, someone will notice it and call him a pedophile on the internet. And he goes, you know how fucking gangster you have to be to limit a man's music theory options?
Wow.
He can never use the chord A minor again without being called a pedophile.
That
on
is
top of
nuts.
already being called a pedophile every day forever now.
I didn't even
every day
know
forever.
That is gay. Cause
so good.
Cause like
so good.
Like Eminem's diss track. Cause first of all, Eminem has done a lot of diss tracks, and he has literally ended people's career. So we did Chainsaw Man episode.
MGK changed music genres. He got so bullied by Eminem.
It gets even deeper than that. Like
MGK, a terrible pop punk guy.
Yeah, MGK ran out of hip hop. Like he got bullied at the school and switched schools. Like that's what happened.
I'm gonna go to the Blink 182 school. They'll like me there. No,
right. Yeah, and it was his own fault, because it was like Eminem was just like, I just didn't like him on Shade 45, and then MGK with his bad temper, especially if you've ever seen him on that episode of Catfish.
Piece of pretty man. 100. I'm about to go crazy on this little woman, man. It was all like a plot just to get on TV. Swear to God, I'm mad as sign up here to come help some stupid little girls find a little 15.
I know.
Not even minutes, 15 seconds of thing. Sucker, you are a sucker. You, corny. You are corny.
He has a very bad temper, and he decided to come at Eminem and attack his daughter, which is like, dude, you're very young. Do you have any idea how badly people's careers go when they attack Eminem's daughter? That's the stupidest thing he could do. That's what he did, because he can't control himself. He has no self-control when it comes to his emotions. And Eminem released a couple of diss tracks. They were very good, and MGK ran fully out of the house that is hip-hop and into the arms of punk rock, and then he tried to come at Slipknot of all people. Why?
This man had to run out of hip hop full speed through a Hot Topic and still had attitude problems on the way out.
Yes, he did. And when he got
what an asshole.
And when he got
also fun fact, Bob Dylan likes MGK. He posted one of his clips on Instagram just to tie it all back. But anyway, continue.
Right. So when he got to rock music, he was like, Slipknot is old, and they're just like, yeah, we don't care. Our music is gonna be better than yours no matter how old we get, which is exactly what Eminem also said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that I'm just touching on MGK. Have you ever heard of a man named Benzino?
I've heard of him.
Okay, do you know who he is, really?
No.
Exactly. I'm just gonna put it in this terms. We did an entire episode of the podcast based on Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is the devil that can obliterate devils out of existence. Well, MGK wrote a song called Rap Devil, and he was almost obliterated, but Benzino got dissed by Eminem so bad that his existence, his career basically got blipped out, like he got Chainsaw Man. And when you keep that in mind, you realize Kendrick Lamar did better than that. And Joan Baez did as well as Kendrick Lamar when it comes to dissing Bob Dylan. That's where Joan Baez is at. That's why you need to listen to her next.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, she's a great songwriter. She does mainly traditional stuff. She's done whole albums of Dylan covers. They used to be singing partners, and they dated, and that did not end well. But so they, for 20 years, started to gently diss track each other, and it wasn't obviously as huge or as consequential as the Drake stuff. But
that's just because the marketing situation was different. That's why.
But girls got bars, is what I'm saying. So she writes a song. So Joan Baez is very much in the sort of camp of folk music is about the political stuff about it, and she is really, really cool. She is she's one of those people that, like, maybe I don't love political violence, but I don't have the right as a white person to tell anyone how to react to their own political struggle. Like, she's that kind of cool ally. She's a good person, which is weird, very
self-aware ally.
Yeah, she dated Steve Jobs. How did that happen? But anyway, so
was this before he did his fruit diet? Because probably what happened.
I think it was during. I don't know, but so Dylan writes this song called "To Ramona," which is I always thought it was just a sweet song about telling someone, don't worry what people think about you, just be you. Yeah. But when you realize that it's him talking to Joan Baez and listen to it from the condescending toxic masculinity lens, which is, I think, the proper way, you go, oh, he's telling Joan Baez, oh, you only care about this stuff because you think it makes you cool and you want to be seen, which is so awful to tell a woman or anyone. And so she writes a song in response called "To Bobby," which basically her saying, it's not that I don't care, it's not that I want to be cool, it's that you care more about the songs than about the fact that we needed you. Now, I think "To Bobby" is a great song. I also think, like I said, I am more in the songwriting can be used for politics. It doesn't necessarily need to. Yeah. So the whole, but if without you, where is the movement thing, I think is a little unfair, because songwriting and narratives and stories like you and I have talked about are necessary for movements, but real organizing is actually where the rubber meets the road. So going, but we don't have a celebrity who's writing these songs is a little bit of missing the point of what actually gets done and what gets power. Even though, like you and I have talked about, it's not black or white. So he said that he heard that song and it like gutted him. So it landed. In the 70s, he writes a song called "Oh Sister," which is basically about code for, hey, you shouldn't be mean to me, Joan Baez. And I don't know if he was trying to smash, probably, because that's the last time they ever talked was because he gave her a spot on a tour. She didn't play that much and she's leaving. And while she was leaving, he started hitting on her. So I think most of this can be seen with the lens of Dylan's trying to smash and women don't indulge him. Anyway, so he writes a song called "Oh Sister," and she writes a song back called "Oh Brother" that is literally so aware of the song "Oh Sister" that it samples the melody briefly as like a hip hop style punchline.
Bro.
It's not part of the main melody, but you know, like she goes, so when I come to knock on your door, like she's literally saying, I know.
See, and that's that Kendrick Lamar energy. That's the Kendrick energy, where you can just snatch notes out of people's mouths, bro.
Is Joan Baez and Kendrick Lamar? I want to see that boxing match because I bet they've got something in common, like a fighter's spirit that I bet would be.
You know
at
what?
least that party.
You know what I want to see? Viewer, if you got connections to either one of these people, get podcasts of them and be like, listen, Joan Baez, Kendrick Lamar, even if you got to do a sample, give us something, some kind of collaboration. It could be one song, it could be 35 seconds. I don't care. Just hit us with one thing. One thing. That's it. That's all I need, and I can retire a happy clam.
Now I just want to hear Joan Baez covering "They Not Like Us," because you know she would extend the note of A minor, but she would warble it out with that vibrato she does, so it would be a completely different interpretation. It's probably A minor, and you'd be like, "Wow, the sustain on this is like half the song." Good for you, girl.
And given that they're both, and because they're both left wing, it would be like the overlap would be crazy. They won't have to change much at all. It's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I would love that. So, and then ultimately she writes the song called Diamonds and Rust that is basically about her relationship to Dylan, in that he sucks and she knows he sucks, but he's just got that energy that she still takes his phone calls. And then in the 80s, she left for good. And then she was said in 2023, she's a painter, and she was taking a commission. Someone said, paint me Bob Dylan. And she's listening to Dylan and she goes, I just forgave him in that moment. And I just was like, wow, all of that was worth it because I got to experience so many great cultural things. And she wrote him a letter that was like, hey, I just want you to know I hold no ill will toward you. But very importantly, she did not put a return address on that email. Or letter. She wanted him to know that she forgave him, but she didn't ever want to talk to him again.
Wow. A very old friend of mine from my early 20s, very smart young lady. She told me a story once that ended with her saying something that reminded me that this story reminds me of: extending the olive branch and slapping you in the face with it.
Yep. Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you owe someone or you feel like you can give someone closure, but that door is closured. It is closured, Bob.
Yes, it is closured. My goodness,
yes,
man.
It is. Yeah,
man. That's crazy. Okay, so
Bob Dylan is an extended universe of lore, is what I'm saying. It's a whole.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, like defying his fans and the parasociality and well, that leads into the last point. There's a lot of different Dylans. Like every era has his own Dylan. Like even when people think about Bob Dylan now, they're not thinking about the dude sitting in his house tweeting very wholesome things. They thinking about, you know, I'm all leather and sunglasses at night, and I'm gonna get the Beatles high for the first time and completely derail their career.
Yeah, I had amphetamines for breakfast, Dylan. Just listener fun side story. So when I was showing I'm Not There to Charles and his wife, Dylan, as he does in real life, all the characters are saying insane things because Bob Dylan, A, likes to fuck with people, B, is earnestly a wackadoo, so it's crazy from both ends. And so Charlie's wife is making a lot of jokes like, oh, because he's on coke, and my hyperfixation is such that I'm biting my tongue going, these were the pill years, the coke years were the 70s. But I'm at a party right now with two people I love dearly. I'm not going to start correcting anyone's jokes. I'm not going to do that. And sure, he'd done cocaine at the time, but really it was mainly an amphetamines issue. But in the 70s, he's doing weird, like making googly eyes and wearing white face paint. Them's coke years. But I want these two people to continue caring about me and possibly working with me on YouTube ventures. So I'm gonna keep all that inside. I'm gonna keep it all inside and eat my Dominoes.
Oh my goodness. We were having Dominoes that night.
No, it's a nice memory. It's like one of our core memories of my friendship was I felt safe enough to show you one of my favorite films.
And it was a good movie.
Everyone is not aware of. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. Y'all need to check that out. I mean, you know, we live in an era where like movies are so very cookie cutter because the studios have electric bills that are $4 billion, and like if we don't drop another Scarlett Johansson Jurassic Park ripoff, we're not gonna be able to keep the lights on, literally. And I can't put gas in my plane. And my daughter, who's spoiled to death, is gonna try to stab me because I can't keep filling her trust fund with nonsense money. And like
she can afford too many knives and training to use them.
Yeah, exactly. So like we live in an era right now where you'll have terrible movies, and literally they just released a Scarlett Johansson, and I'm not a supporter of Scarlett Johansson, by the way. Just know you can't be making movies called Ghost in the Shell after a character that is Asian, fully Japanese, and then the twist is that she just decides to flip races because that's what that didn't happen in the anime anyway. And then
on top of defending Woody Allen, so I'm out.
I'm out. I am out. I mean, I wasn't even in, first of all. Like I
was never.
Yeah, like I saw Don John. I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then that was about as much ScarJo as I could take. And then after when it came out, the bigotry that she had, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to see anything that this woman is a part of. But anyway, so she's in this terrible movie because terrible movies like that exist all the time because we live in a capitalist society, and without infinite growth, you will die. But I Am Not There doesn't care about that the same way Dylan doesn't care about that. And it is a truly artistic film.
No. Well, I mean, there's theories.
There's theory. I'm vaguely referencing the fact that like when I was in second grade, one of my guidance counselors said he's very artistic, and in my mind, I'm like, I was really short. What if I just heard him wrong? That's why I switched out for autism as opposed to artistic. Because I mean, come on, I'm making very intensely animated YouTube videos.
I just talked about a feud between two folk musicians for like 20 minutes. I need to get tested at least. I don't think it's a problem, but we're bordering on special interest here. We're bordering on special interests, and I, you know what? If it turns out to be so, I will wear it with pride.
I mean, YouTube as a whole, if you really think about it, it's built an entire system on autistic people's fandoms. Just us talking about them, like it. At this point, it's a symbiotic relationship. Like we found a market. Let us breathe. Let us live. We cooking, and it's an autistic meal. Deal with it.
Yeah, it's interesting you phrase it as markets, because I think that part of the reason, like how you said, Dylan's whole point is I'd be able to write a song about anything as long as it's not hurting any. Well, I guess he would try to hurt people with it, but point being, meaningful songs is, I feel like, I wonder if whenever he feels like his music has become something that someone will go, oh, the market is loving this, he's like, ew, I'm gonna find Jesus. Like, I wonder if that's the thing that makes him run, and to the point where in the 80s when he was making not terrible music, but like, oh dude, you're wearing a spangly vest and a long earring, and you just admit you're old. This is weird, like kind of not dance music, but like poppier sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He was very unhappy. He's like, yeah, he's like, I considered quitting music entirely, taking all my money, and just start like a bricklaying company or something. And then he's like, somebody talked to me about it, and I was like, this is too much for me. But he really like fell out of love with music for a while, I think because he's like, I don't like this anymore. And then he sort of fell back in love with the craft of it when he watched a jazz band play, and that's when he started to basically enter his sort of like old blues man period. Yeah. And the music gets astronomically better. And I don't know how much of that is just he didn't want to admit that he was aging, or if he just felt lost because everything in this is so confusing with branding and marketing and whatever. But he almost died of a heart disease, and then he came back from that and basically wrote you know how Bowie wrote that album while he was dying, Black Star?
Yes, Black Star, lovely album.
Yeah, Black Star's great. It's depressing as shit because it's a man who knows he's dying of lung cancer. But yeah. So Bob,
which is very punk rock, by the way. Like, he won punk rock. Like, the dude was in the middle of dying, and he's just like, I'm gonna make some music. Like, that's amazing.
Oh, get me a guitar. And fun fact about Black Star, it's got a lot of musicians from To Pimp a Butterfly on it, because Bowie was a huge Kendrick fan. Anyway,
full circle.
So Bob almost died, and he writes this album called Time Out of Mind, which wins a bunch of Grammys, and it's really good. And I was watching a documentary about the tail end of his career, and they're like, oh man, everybody's so happy. Did anybody listen to it? He's so sad. He's so sad because he realized, I think he probably had one of those moments like, wow, I wonder if he felt bad for how he treated people. But there's a song on there called Not Dark Yet, when the whole chorus is, it's not dark yet, but it's getting there. I'm like, this Bob Dylan is kind of a case study in, if you treat people bad, eventually you will have nowhere left to go but just be alone.
Yes.
Because he just tours endlessly. He's going to literally until he dies. He's in Oklahoma right now, I'm sure, doing touring stuff. And he's got a good relationship with his kids, but he's just burned so many relationships. He's so egocentric and so selfish and whatnot. Right.
But speaking to your point about the whole marketing thing, I think you make a very good point. In that, because Bob Dylan is an artist like any other artist. The relationship with their art can be nuanced, or it can be very narrow. Like me, for example, I've been a lifelong artist. I've been doing art of various kinds and mediums since I was 4 years old, and the journey of it, like I'm not married to mediums. I just like to make the art. And I like to make the art so much that I would prefer to live off my art over anything else. And I happen to be lucky enough to not be married to mediums. So I have like monetization options where it's like, okay, I can do art and work a job and the art becomes the job. I'm okay with that. That's not common. A lot of artists can't do both. And not to say that one is better than the other. It's just some artistic expressions or artistic relationships can be leaning toward the narrow. And it can be very difficult. Like Lady Gaga, she released like albums with like I think it was Tony Bennett and a bunch of albums in between, like Fame and Fame Monster and stuff like that. She made a lot of great music, and she just dropped the not Abracadabra, was it Abracadabra? Well, whatever I forget, but it was her recent album. That you listen to that and it's like, okay, this is old Gaga paying new Gaga's bills, and it's great. The songs are good, but it's like, you know, you when you make your art your business, that becomes the choice that you have to consider financially. And that's when you got to think about markets and stuff like that. Well, in the case of Dylan, maybe he wasn't about that life, which is fine. It could have just been every time somebody made, or every time the industry invaded upon his process a little bit too much, it ruined the experience for him. And many artists, in order for them to create, it requires them to still feel the passion and the love for it at all times. I mean, I happen to be able to make decent money off of my art too, but I can't do anything if I don't love it when it comes to art. I just can't do it. I've integrated the business side of things into the art by convincing myself that that is an expression of the art, but the motivation at all times is the art. So
yeah, it's the underlying principle.
That's the underlying principle. It's like, if I'm not creating something, if I'm not finding the creative aspect of it, then it's not art anymore, and I can't do it anymore. It's okay that the mediums are shifting. It's okay that I can find the art in promoting a podcast versus the art of holding a pencil in just the right way so that my line work looks good. All of that is art as a creative expression. But the second creative expression goes, then all of it goes. And that's probably what was happening to Dylan, which is why he kept pivoting. But it also probably why when he got reawakened by the jazz musicians, what he rediscovered in himself was the fact that some people aren't interested in this money stuff. They're not interested in this capitalist nonsense. They are in it because they love to do it. And he just happens to fall right in that pocket where he's profitable for other people. And that's the music industry is a machine of other people turning your art into their jobs. And he probably felt like his art was being robbed as a result, and not necessarily from literally with the money, but the value.
Yeah, I feel like Bob Dylan probably reacts to his fan base the same way I react every time I put one of these episodes in a subreddit. I'm like, well, you all angrily missed the point, didn't you? Okay. But it's half of it is congrats on seeing the movie. The other half is what the fuck are you talking about? This is too off base. Which is it? Which is it? I feel like probably that's it's my Newport Folk Festival, if you will. It's interesting you bring up the idea of the without the freedom of expression, then what are we doing? Taika Waititi did a TED Talk where he said, my job isn't, I make movies and I do art, but my job is not to make movies. My job is to be creative. Sometimes I have an idea and I go, is that a movie? No, that's a spray paint like graffiti thing I'm going to do on a piece of glass in my garage. And then I move on, and that's what it's supposed to be. But I have made the art. My job is to make the art. The art has to tell me where it goes. Like there's a Stephen Sondheim guideline for writing that he said content dictates form. If you write a musical about a really complicated idea, the music itself will be more complicated. If it is more straightforward, the music has to be simpler because it is trying to emotionally convey the intellectual idea that you're going for.
Yes.
And so I guess, Dylan probably keeps, like Dylan, not only does he change era to era, like different kinds of music. If you see Bob Dylan live, first of all, he's 84. There's not a lot of Dylan left in the Bob. I'm warning you if you go, but it's not great. Anyway, every song it's like a game of telephone with how you know it from the record because he's changed it so many times, and that's part of the appeal. Like this is you at every Bob Dylan show. What's this song? Oh shit, it's Visions of Johanna. What's this song? Oh, it's The Times They Are Changing. What's this song? Stuck Inside a Mobile. It's in a minor key now. Everything is in a different key, different tempo, sometimes a different melody, sometimes different chords, even just sometimes slightly. But like it's really interesting because even the old material is meant in his eyes to be. If you're gonna make me play it, I'm gonna play it how I feel like playing it today.
Yeah.
And that's how his philosophy was. Like someone asked him in an interview, like, how come you change things so much? And he said, well, like, Billy Joel made perfect records. Elton John made perfect records. I didn't make perfect records. I made records of, I wrote the song and this is how I felt like delivering that song when I was 25. And now I'm 84 and I still want to play that song. This is what the song sounds like now. And I think that's really cool. It's literally the reinterpretation of, well, it's a different day, different song.
And what could be more artistic than that? Honestly, what could be more artistic than that? I mean, there are literal, I can't speak to them right now, but I am aware of the fact that there are famous painters who have painted the same things over and over again and did it a different way every single time.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did Georgia O'Keeffe paint a flower?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Georgia O'Keeffe did that. Georgia O'Keeffe did that a bunch of times. And the reason she did it, when you really understand it, is that every single time she painted something that in repetition, there was something different about her that made her make different choices. So the art was not just a picture, it was a container for her very existence. And that's how Dylan treats his songs. Every single time he plays a different song, he's not just playing the song because people are familiar with it. He's expressing who he is in that moment relative to something that he was. Or it's like they're like audio time capsules in a way, where he's capturing whatever he is in the moment and expressing that. And that right there, that's like raw, pure art, which at the end of everything, art is about human expression. Well, humans are constantly changing. If your expression of your own art doesn't change, then what's the point? What you doing? What we doing here?
Yeah, that then you end up as 80s disco Dylan, and it's like, dude, take the fucking jean vest off. This is sad. This is sad. You're old. Admit you're old and go back to making bangers. There you go. There you go. But yeah, it's like we were saying, the underlying principle of all this is feeling. It's the feeling to expression to consumption pipeline. And I don't mean that in marketing terms. I mean that in terms of narrative, the feedback loop of the story from my brain to someone else going, oh yeah, I do get where that's coming from. But part of the appeal of it always changing is if I give you the same thought over and over again, eventually you're going to stop listening to me.
Yeah.
You think that's what you want, and like that's I think the underlying principle of what a lot of Dylan does is people think they know what they want, and I don't want to be condescending. Go, oh, they don't know what they want, but some people, like the Newport Folk Festival, they wanted this, and he gave them something they didn't want, and now you look back and you watch that footage, and you're like, this band fucking rules. What's their problem?
Yeah. Like that one scene
he's not talking to you. He's talking to himself. That is his best self, let's say.
Like that one scene in the movie with Timothée Chalamet where he started playing the electric guitar and you look at the bottom left and you see that one white lady just grooving out.
She's losing her mind. She loves it.
She was just, man, she was feeling her. She looked like, what's his name? Jimmy Pesto Jr. from Bob's Burgers. Like she was feeling
Very
that
much.
song so hard, and everyone around her was just going and just booing, throwing food, passing out. Just like,
yes.
he's killed us. He's killed socialism with his stupid electricity. I can't. And she's just like, this is dope. I like this.
This is dope. This slaps.
This slaps. Some a little bit different.
I'm still voting Bernie, but this slaps.
Yeah. It's like, I have other interests too, Bob. Thank you. Oh my God. Okay. On that note, y'all need to experience other people's fandoms, especially nowadays. Like, we're in a bit of a loneliness epidemic, and many of us millennials have kind of forgotten how to make friends. I find myself very lucky to have not forgotten how to do that. But if you have, and you've watched all the way to the end of this episode, which in my opinion is one of the best episodes we've ever done. It was just raw hyperfixation.
It's powered by my okay, this is what's in there all the time. When we first met, I was like, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, your cross is really good. Bob Dylan. Don't say it out loud though. You see Killer Bebop too? I love it, Bob Dylan. This is where we're always headed.
Yeah, exactly. If you find yourself where it's just like, I need to make some new friends, I need to put myself around new people.
Let people like things.
People like stuff, and you like stuff. You're a person. I'm sure you like things, but riding the wave of other people's stuff that they like, especially if it's not weird, like if it's not dangerous and weird and illegal, but and immoral. But if it's something cool, like, I like this band, or I like that artist, or I like this movie, or whatever, and you just let them riff, I'm telling you, it can be really rewarding. You can open up some options for yourself. I mean, seriously, yeah. It could be a great experience for you.
You can find something you like, or even if you don't like it, sometimes, like you were saying, it's just nice to watch someone be their most earnest self, because you're seeing the matrix code that runs their heart. And that's a beautiful type of connection. It's in many ways their unabashedly truest, earnest self. And they are trusting you with it, ideally.
Yeah. I mean, you're watching somebody be happy.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
What kind of human being could you be where you see somebody be happy and go, ugh? Like, the issue in that moment is
Reddit. Good night, everybody.
Nice, y'all. Kendrick Lamar, Joan Baez, Bob Dylan.